All right, hello, welcome to the Cosmic Eyes Show. I am Jason, and I will be your host today. That sounds a little bit like you're at the Sizzler, and I'm going to be your waiter today. Hello, I'm Jason, and I'm going to be your server for today. So if you have any special requests or any special needs for your dining experience, please let me know. At any rate, today we have a new series and it is on the tarot. So, welcome to the first episode of the Sunday Tarot Talk. So, what is the Sunday Tarot Talk, you ask? It's going to be a series where I'm going to talk about each one of the major arcana cards. So, each week we'll cover one of the 22 major arcana. The format of it's going to be inspirational and more transformational. So, we're not really going to delve into like um, symbolic details as much. We will later on in later episodes, but the first series is going to be more inspirational, and transformational is really going to help you get the general meaning of the card. And we're going to really look at the cards to see how they can guide us, how they can guide us into being what we want to be, having what we want to have, and doing what we want to do. In other words, transforming our lives for the better. The cards, of course, are symbolic representations of powers which we have within ourselves. So, working with the cards helps to unlock those powers within us. So, the first card that we're going to work with, we're going to go in order. We're going to start with the Fool. So, today, the first card is going to be the Fool that we're going to work with, and we're going to look at the wisdom of the Fool. And I'll get into that in a moment. I want to thank you for joining us each week. We appreciate your support. You can check us out at cosmiceye.org, and you can follow us on social media there. I've got a lot of cool stuff going on social media. On Instagram, I'm doing free tarot readings and free spirit readings and so forth. You can check out our new products and so on through there at Cosmic Eye Tarot or at Jason Napolitano. At Cosmic Eye Tarot is probably easier to get to, but we're both available there. CosmicEye.org has all those links. You can also check out our new Kickstarter campaign. We have a new deck called the Liber Florum deck, which is up on Kickstarter right now. We're doing really well, and but we do need your support to get that fully funded. So if you can check that out and help us out there, that'd be awesome. And of course, if you want to donate to us, to the show, anchor.fm/Cosmic Eye. And thank you so much for all of you who are donating. We greatly appreciate you guys. Blessings and light to all of you. Blessings and light to everyone, but thanks so much for your help. We appreciate it. All right, so if you have a tarot deck, I want you right now to pause the show. I know people say things like this and you normally ignore it, but this will really help to have the card in front of you, honestly. It's nice to have that visual representation, or even pull it up, pull it up on your phone or on your computer or whatever you're listening to if you can. The BOTA, the Builders of the Aditum cards, are really great. That's the one that I'm using. I love their work and I love their images. They're similar to the AE Weight deck, the most common deck that's in use, but they're a little bit different, a little more esoterically accurate, if you want to call it that. So grab that card. And then I want to also encourage you. So each week, as we listen to these lessons, afterwards, during the week that follows, so I'll do this on Sunday, and then you got the week until the next lesson. Take the time each day. Take about 5 minutes out of your day, either in the morning or the afternoon, whenever you want, and take about 5 minutes to just look at the card. Just look at the Fool card in this case. So next week it'll be the Magician, but this week just look at the Fool card. Look at the symbols on there. Just let it kind of soak in. The cards really do work on your consciousness via vision. So if you just gaze at the cards in a sort of meditative state, they'll really begin to work on the soul. They'll really begin to open up the powers within you that those cards represent. Paul Foster Case talks about how they literally put you into a state similar to the adepts of occult and esoteric tradition. So those cards will help you to get into those conscious states of the masters of wisdom. So just work on that for 5 minutes a day. That'll help build concentration. It'll help to open up the powers that the cards are connected to. And try to listen through to the whole show. I know sometimes people cut out a little bit early, but This whole show is an important one, and I think it's really going to help you out. And at the end, I'm going to explain some of these powers of the Fool card, some of the actual concrete powers that the Fool card will help to open up in you, and things that it'll help you with. So that's going to be really valuable information. So listen through for that. All right, so let's get into this. We're going to start out this series. Each week we're going to do this with a series of affirmations known as the pattern on the Trestleboard. And you may or may not be familiar with this, but this again is from Paul Foster Case. This is from the work that he did through his organization called BOTA. So the pattern on the Trestleboard is available online. So if you Google it, you can find it there. You can buy it from BOTA, I think, as a little card or something as well, bota.org. But if you want to just Google it to have it to memorize or to work on each week when we do these, this is a series of affirmations that really helps you get in touch with your higher self, helps you open up your intuition, helps you open up the powers within yourself. So here we go with the pattern on the Trestleboard. This is the truth about the self. 0. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. Number 1, I'm a center of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. Number 2, through me, its unfailing wisdom and understanding take form in thought and word. Number 3, filled with understanding of its perfect law, I'm guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. Number 4, from the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance, I draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. Number 5, I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. Number 6, I see the beauty of divine expression in all things, great and small. Number 7, living from that will, supported by its unfailing wisdom and understanding, mine is the victorious life. Number 8, I look forward to the perfect realization of the eternal splendor of the limitless light. Number 9, in thought and word and deed, I rest my life from day to day upon the sure foundation of eternal being. And finally, number 10, the kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. The kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. So the pattern on the Trestleboard, Google that if you want to work with that. It's a very powerful set of affirmations that will help you in your life. All right, so I'm going to talk about the Fool, as I said, and how this card can help you carry your burdens lightly. Carry your burdens lightly. So burdens, of course, are responsibilities, our challenges, work, family life, etc. Even our positive goals can sometimes feel like burdens. Even things that we really enjoy, our creative endeavors, our hobbies and so on, can sometimes feel like burdens if we don't have the right attitude towards those things. So the Fool helps us to stay in touch with that right attitude of carrying our burdens lightly. And it's not that that everything in life is a burden. That's kind of a negative point of view, but it's a way to understand how we're framing things. And oftentimes things do feel like a burden. So the Fool helps us to get into the right state of mind so that so that they're not burdens, so that we can carry our burdens lightly, reminding ourselves that things are not burdens in essence, if that makes sense. So imagine the card, if you don't have it in front of you. You're going to see a yellow background. You're going to see a white sun illuminating the picture. And you're going to see a youth, an androgynous looking youth, might be a male or female. Paul Foster Case talks about how it reminds him of Rosalind, Shakespeare's Rosalind, who was a woman dressed up as a man. So it could be either male or female, carrying a white rose. And for our purposes, this is the most important symbol we're looking at. The Fool carries a staff with a wallet on the end of it, kind of a small pack with an eye and an eagle on it. It's red in color. And the Fool is carrying that pack on her right shoulder very lightly, has a serene look and a peaceful look, and is walking towards a cliff, and is not looking down, is looking up, is looking towards the spiritual source, is looking towards the Father, Mother, God in heaven. And so there's a sereneness and a sort of joyous quality to the fool's face. Carrying the burden, though, of carrying that sack lightly. Ann Davies talked about looking like a spiritual hobo. A hobo, of course, is kind of an old timey reference. People used to ride the rails and travel around during the Great Depression, and they would sometimes carry their limited belongings on a handkerchief tied to the end of a stick. And so there's this idea of this sort of spiritual hobo. In other words, like this traveler, but it's a traveler that has its confidence in the source, in divine source, and is guided by that source. All right, so that is the Fool card. Now, this idea of carrying your burden lightly, ties into what Jesus said in the book of Matthew in the New Testament. He said, "Come to me, all that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So a yoke was a tool that went around the neck of an animal that was pulling a weight, a yoke. So that's an idea of a heavy burden, pulling a heavy burden. But my yoke is easy and my burden is light, he's saying. So how do we do this? How do we carry our burdens lightly? Life seems to throw a lot at us sometimes, and we feel a lot of weight or responsibility, and so forth. Well, we listen to the Fool. We listen to the Fool. We look at the Fool. We find the lessons in the Fool. So the Fool is an interesting card because it's the zero card, but it's the beginning of the tarot, and it's also the end of the tarot. So it's the Alpha and the Omega, as it's said in the Bible, the beginning and the end. So there's paradox in this Fool. There's holy foolishness and holy wisdom and foolish wisdom in this Fool. So I'm going to give you some of that foolish wisdom. We're going to look at three things that are going to help us carry our burdens lightly. The first is trust nothing. Trust nothing. The second is trust nobody. Trust nobody. And the third is trust nonsense. Trust nonsense. Now, this may sound a little bit crazy, but the Fool speaks in paradoxes and riddles, as I said. So we're going to break down each one of these ideas, and we're going to go deeper into them, and we'll make some sense of the nonsense. All right. So the first one, the Fool says to us, trust nothing. Now, first, this might sound a little bit like a person ranting out in front of the CVS, pushing a shopping cart around and screaming about the Matrix or socialism or something like this. Trust nothing. But really what the Fool means is trust no thing. No thing. So what is no thing? No thing is zero. No thing is zero. The number zero is assigned to the Fool card. And some of the occult meanings of zero are pure potential prior to manifestation, freedom from every limitation, changelessness, the unknown, the infinite eternal source, rootless root of all creation, superconsciousness, and the cosmic egg. And Paul Foster Case points out that the cosmic egg, he says about the cosmic egg, he says, zero looks like an egg, and the egg contains potencies of growth and development. As a living body is formed inside the shell of an egg and then hatched from it, so is everything in the universe brought into embodiment within the cosmic egg of the life power, So as I told you, since all these tarot cards are really all aspects of you, powers within you, parts of yourself, you have this power, this creative egg, this cosmic egg within you. You have this power of creative potential and possibility within you. And so this no thing then is really the potentiality of everything. So trust this no thing, this non-material creative core within you. Trust nothing, no thing. The Fool also represents the self, your higher self, and this self is connected to your divine source. This self's connected to your divine source. I and the Father are one, Jesus said. So unity implies no separation. There's no separate things. Unity. In contrast, of course, the material world, the outside world, everything we think of as being real, media, culture, your day-to-day life, all somethings, all somethings. The government, your job, your material possessions, corporations, the amount of money you have in the bank, stocks and bonds, these are all somethings. All somethings. Don't put your faith into something or some things. Something is the material world. Some things are the material world. And not that they're bad, but they are appearances. They're congealed spiritual energy. You want to go to the source. Have faith in no thing, in the pure potential, the higher source. And that's within you. That's within you. So it said in Hebrews in the New Testament, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, the evidence of not seen. In other words, the no thing, something that hasn't been made manifest yet. You don't have to have faith in something that's already in front of you. You don't have to have faith in something that's already material, something that, is you can knock on that's sitting in front of you. You need to have faith in visions and dreams and things unseen, that those things can come to pass, that those things can come true. So you have faith in the no thing, where that comes from. So trust no thing. Sounds strange, but trust no thing. Trust the spirit, the pure potential within. And this is going to help you carry your burdens lightly. It's going to help you carry your burdens lightly like the fool. So when you trust that same creative potential that manifested the universe, and you understand that that's within you, then you can trust nothing, no thing, and carry your burdens lightly like the fool. Now, the second message from the fool says, trust nobody. Again, sounds like some kind of paranoid conspiracy ranted either on the internet or out in the parking lot of a CVS. But it is not. The fool has deep wisdom. And the fool says, trust nobody, nobody. So the fool is associated with the element of air, the element of air. In esoteric symbolism, air is one of the four elements of creation. But also, air means spirit. So in Hebrew, this word's ruach, ruach. In Latin, spiritus. Greek, it's pneuma, pneuma. That's the life breath or spirit. It's the breath, the physical breath, but it also goes beyond that to life breath or spirit energy. It's the same idea in Sanskrit and yoga when they talk about the prana. And the prana. So in John 4:24 in the New Testament, it says, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. So this spirit is within us, but it's not a perishable thing. It's not perishable like the body is. The spirit is eternal. So trust no body, trust no material element. Trust the spirit that created it, that eternal part of yourself that the fool represents. The fool represents that part of yourself. So go beyond the limitations of body and material life. At one time, it was thought that a human being couldn't run faster, couldn't break a 4-minute mile. It's routinely done today. So people told Roger Bannister that it was impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. He was the first person that did it, but he trusted nobody. He trusted nobody, and instead believed in his own potential, his own infinite potential within. And in 1954, he accomplished that goal. He broke the 4-minute mile. And like I said, now it's something that's done routinely. Now, did people's physical bodies change? Did they suddenly become faster? No. But when someone does something and breaks through a limitation or a barrier, then other people believe they can do it too. So he stepped forward, like the Wright brothers did, stepped forward and broke the idea that man couldn't fly. Once that was done, then everyone's making airplanes. Once that someone proves something can be done, everyone can do it. That's the material world. What's easy then? But it's hard to trust nobody, to trust the spirit sometimes. But when we get in touch with that, we begin to really live our life on purpose. Synchronicities begin to unfold. Life takes on a sort of easiness in a sense, like things flow. So trust nobody, trust the spirit. When you don't listen to doubters and haters and negative people around you, then you're in that faith of trusting nobody. Accept the spirit within you. And when you do this, you walk with the faith of the fool, and life becomes easy and your burden becomes light. Your burdens become light. So if people around you are doubting you, they're doubting your abilities, they're doubting your creative work, maybe they're making negative comments on social media, maybe your significant other doesn't believe in what you're working on, what have you. Trust nobody. And that's not a negative thing. Trust spirit. Get in touch with your higher self and keep moving forward. Don't put your faith in the material world and material people to give you the support or the attaboys or attagirls that you need. Way to go. You may or may not get that from the people around you. So look to your higher source. Look to spirit to give you that. It will support you. It will support you. So spirit will lead you in the right direction. You work towards your goals with a peace and a joy like the fool represents. You see this peace on the fool's face. You see it as trust. It's not a blind trust. It's a trust in the infinite that knows that things will unfold as they should. Trust nobody. Nobody. Trust the spirit and carry your burdens lightly. All right, now on to the third point, what the fool tells us, some foolish wisdom. Trust nonsense. Trust nonsense. Trust nonsense. All right, let's break this down. What is sense? What is sense? Sense is rational thinking, it's logic, it's the linear ideas and the neat boxes and the sort of arbitrary borders between things, between people, between countries, etc. It's limited definitions of ourselves, limited potentials. Sense, materialism, consumerism, political agendas, crazy points of view. This is what passes for sense often today. It is not the sense we're looking for. We're looking for nonsense. You need to listen to the fool's wisdom and trust nonsense. Obviously, there's a place for sense. There's a place for logic and study and book learning and linear thinking and engineering and so on. We want our engineers to build the bridges with sense. But also we want them to trust in the nonsense in that creative world. In other words, for design, for beauty, for things like that. So, look, sense is important. Sense is important, but nonsense, equally important. The fool is a joker. The fool is a clown, but a holy joker and a holy clown, a holy fool. And this fool energy embraces paradox. Embraces paradoxes. It embraces the opposites. The fool is this and that. The fool is science and religion. The fool is masculine and feminine. So it carries us past duality. So trust nonsense and carry your burden lightly. When I was putting this talk together, I worked on it for a couple of weeks. I was studying, I was reading books, I was taking notes, I was reviewing what other people wrote about things, about the fool, and I was watching videos and all of this stuff, and I could not figure out my clear topic. It felt like I was beating my head against the wall. I was really feeling discouraged up until a couple of days ago. Honestly, I was feeling like I might need to make a new topic, to choose a new topic. And then I was honestly thinking about abandoning the whole series because I was really excited to do this series. I had this idea, this inspiration. I wanted to start talking about a tarot card each week and doing these tarot talks on Sunday. But like I said, I was making note after note. I had like 30 pages of notes that just didn't seem like they even belonged to the same talk. And I was just getting more and more confused. And I finally just kind of, gave up a couple of days ago. And I went out for a run. And as I was running, about halfway through the run, I had this little vision of the fool. And the fool was saying to me, stop making sense. Stop making sense. Trust nonsense. And it like hit me. I'm like, wow, okay, stop making sense, trust nonsense. And I didn't even understand exactly what that meant at the moment, but I knew that it was really important. So I turned back around, I ran home, I kind of sprinted home, and I wrote it down. And after I took my shower and stuff, I sat down and outlined the rest of this talk, and it all just fell into place after that. And even though this is one of the points, trust nonsense, it was the point that made the whole thing come into order. So I want to encourage you to trust nonsense. And that might be a vision, like I had that vision of the fool. Could be a feeling, a sort of internal sensation or idea, a dream. That could be for a new business, a new nonprofit, a new book, a new movie, some music. An idea for a funny meme. For all we know, I don't know. All these are nonsense in a sense, to logical mind. Sometimes you have to get beyond logical mind and you have to trust nonsense. And when you do that, that helps you to carry your burdens lightly. And to cover this again, so carrying your burdens lightly means living connected to your source. It means allowing spirit to help you carry the burdens. It's not you alone. It's not you alone. It means that universal mind, cosmic consciousness is with you and helping you make a way where there was none before. I'm sure all of you heard of the idea of, leap and a net will appear. Well, the fool stands on the, we never really talked about this. We're talking about carrying our burdens lightly, but part of carrying our burdens lightly is also having that trust to leap into something new. So you see this image of the fool standing on the edge of this precipice over a great distance, a great fall below, the fall. And the fool is about to step off into the unknown. But you know that a path will be made. A path will be made. So don't be afraid to step off into the unknown. Have trust that spirit will guide your footsteps. Spirit will guide your footsteps. And that, again, that's going to help you to carry your burdens lightly. I want to read again that great quote from Jesus from the book of Matthew. Come to me, all ye that are weary. All you that are weary, I'll modernize it. All you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Learn from the Christ consciousness. Learn from that higher source within you. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So learn from Jesus and understand that Jesus talked about the Father within doing the works. He wouldn't take credit. His earthly body wouldn't take credit for the miracles. He would credit the Father within. He would credit the Father in heaven. There is also an occult saying that I think is really appropriate to the fool. And that is, the wisdom of God is foolishness to man. The wisdom of God is foolishness to man. So oftentimes what seems like foolishness is really the wisdom of God. So we think with our logical minds and our egos and our power-centered thinking in the modern world with all of our technology and all of our, progress that we've made, that that spirit is some sort of nonsense, and its spirit is some sort of invisible thing or some sort of fantasy that people are consoling themselves with or something. But it's the opposite of that. Spirit is the source. Material life is the effect. So spirit is the cause and material existence is the effect. So you have to remember what the source is, that wisdom of God, wisdom of cosmic consciousness, wisdom of the universal mind, wisdom of the great spirit, whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it, it all means the same thing. It means sometimes you have to embrace the holy nonsense and just carry your burdens lightly. So nonsense, again, it's an intuitive sense. It's a power within yourself that knows. It's a power within yourself that has vision, that sees, that comprehends on a different level. It's gnosis, 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 gnosis. It means to know completely and intuitively. It's like a soul knowing or a spirit knowing. So carry your burdens lightly, embrace that holy nonsense. All right, work with this Fool energy this week. Like I said, take your time each day, take your 5 minutes, just look at the Fool card. If you need to do it online, if you don't have a card, do that, or purchase some cards. Like I said, the BOTA deck is awesome. The Rider-Waite deck's great. Any of the decks are great. Some of the more traditional decks, like the AE Waite base decks, and like I said, like BOTA deck and images, are a little more traditional and a little easier to work with sometimes. So just sit down in a quiet place and look at that card in a meditative state. Look at the symbols on the card. You don't need to really talk about it or think about it. Just sort of let the card activate those powers within you, and those powers that the card represents, the symbols in the card represent, will open up. Those are latent powers within yourself that will be opened when you interact with them through this active vision and in this meditative state. All right, so I told you at the beginning, there's some at the beginning of the talk, there's some powers of the Fool card. There's some things that it's going to specifically help you with. Things that it's going to specifically help you with. So here are some of the powers of the Fool card. So whenever you're feeling depressed or down, you can work with this Fool card, and it's going to help elevate your mood. It's going to help brighten your day. Just looking at that card is going to help you feel better. So when you're feeling down, you're feeling discouraged, and so forth, you can work with the Fool card. If you don't have the card, this is the beauty of working with the card for 5 minutes each day. You imprint that image on your mind. You'll be able to recall that image. You'll be able to bring that image up when you're out and about, when you're driving, or when you're in traffic, or you're stuck in a line at Bonds or something while you're picking up groceries. Whatever. If you need some peace, if you need to kind of boost yourself up, if you need to elevate your mood, the Fool will do that for you. To get in touch with your inner potentials, that's one of the biggest things the Fool card is for. It gets you in touch with this source of pure potential. We talked about that cosmic egg, that pure potential, and that power is within you, your higher self, your inner resources. All of these ideas are associated with the Fool, and that this Fool card, just looking at this card, working with this card in a meditative way, will get you in touch with those inner resources. The third, one of the more important ones, the third one and final one that we're going to look at, is to raise your level of courage. So when you need courage, let's say you're afraid to start something new, jump into something scary, maybe you've got to give a talk, maybe you've got to approach your boss about a raise, or you're starting a new business, or you're starting a new art class that you've been afraid to start. Work with the image of the Fool and that energy that the Fool represents, and that bravery that the Fool represents, and that trust, that natural trust that the Fool has, that peace, that trust in the source will be there, and it will help you to develop the bravery that you need to jump. And I talked about jumping, and the net will appear. That's another thing that ties into this idea of courage. So you don't know oftentimes how things are going to turn out, especially if they're new. So, do your research and so on, but at some point you're going to have to, you're just going to have to jump and know that a net will be there. So this Fool will help you to develop bravery. So it'll help you to elevate your mood. It will help you to get in touch with your potentials, and it will help you to have courage or bravery. So those are three great uses for the card. We'll get into more as we go on. I'm going to do a series of these. So I'm going to go through the first 22. I'm going to go through the major arcana, the 22 cards. We're just going to stick to the major arcana in these Sunday talks. I'm going to go through them multiple times over the next year. Each time I go through the card, we'll go deeper into it. So this week, as you're feeling burdens and challenges and so on, money problems, traffic, anything, difficulties, job concerns, maybe have health concerns, just think about this wisdom of the Fool. Think about what we talked about carrying your burdens lightly. Remember the message of the Fool. Remember, trust no thing, trust nobody, and trust nonsense. So in other words, have faith in the infinite potential within, have faith in spirit, in great spirit, in the universal spirit, have faith in your intuitive vision, in those flashes of inspiration that come to you in that nonsense way. Carry your burdens lightly, my friends. All right, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. I'm sending out blessings and light to all. Check us out at cosmiceye.org. Like I said, we have that great new tarot deck, the Libra Forum deck that's up there on Kickstarter. And we've also got these great handcrafted bags that we make by hand. I actually am in on that process of making those bags. We fill them with great spiritual energy, and they're made out of the finest materials, handcrafted, beautiful Dupioni silk lining, et cetera, et cetera. Check out cosmiceye.org, and as I said, you can sign up for the newsletter, follow us on social media. Again, if you'd like to donate to help keep the show going forward, we're at anchor.fm/cosmiceye. Thanks again to those of you who are supporting the show and are donating monthly. We greatly appreciate it, guys. Blessings to you. Have a great week. Goodbye, and God bless. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to join us next week. Next Sunday, I'm going to start going into the Magician. So we're going to look forward to the Magician card next week. All right, take care. See you on Sunday.